Labas rytas.
Good morning. I am Paulius Skruibis, Vilnius University Suicide Research Center, and I would like to congratulate you and welcome having come to the 6th Vilnius Conference on Suicide Intervention Methods. I am delighted to see you. Well, this is what I would like to say, but I can only see the screen and a few colleagues here. But having looked through the very long participant list, I saw that there are very dear friends and colleagues and everyone who is interested in suicide prevention issues. So I am delighted to know that you are there and here with us. And I know that with some colleagues, you have gathered together to look to see the conference. So I send my best regards. We have over 1,300 participants registered at this conference. This is another record. Last year, we had 1,100. So this year, the number is even higher. And I would like to ask you, after the conference, when we send you the conference evaluation questionnaires, feedback questionnaires, please fill them out. For instance, they are very important for us because we last year got some feedback that uh, we should speak more about self-harm conflicted by young people. And today we will hear one presentation about that. And the feedback forms show that we should have spoken about that for a long time ago. And we should have spoken about, for instance, LGBT self-harm or young people self-harm. And we take into account such feedback. Of course, we will concentrate this year also on the topics related to COVID. There will be a presentation about that. I would like to say that the first conference like that was part of the memorandum initiated by Vilnius City Municipality, and this memorandum still provides the conditions for the implementation of very important initiatives related to suicide. And many of you who are participating here have participated at the trainings on SIP Talk and others. And therefore, I am delighted to invite Vilnius City Deputy Mayor to say the welcoming word, Edita Tamošiūnienė. Good morning, dear conference participants, dear advisor to the minister, Mr. Paulus. I am delighted to welcome you at this 6th Vilnius Conference on Suicide Intervention Methods. The figure is impressive, over 1,300, and we see that the scope of this conference is increasing, and it only demonstrates that this topic is very important. And we could say that although this is to some extent we have something that we lose, that is we cannot gather together all that in one space, but still this is part of our success now because we can house such a huge number of participants virtually. In Vilnius there is hardly a space that would house that number, and this topic is very relevant because the mental health in the society, which is deteriorating, makes us think even more seriously about that. And suicide is one of the most acute health problems. I am delighted to say that in the memorandum which was signed in 2015, Vilnius City Municipality has committed and is continuing its effort in order to ensure efficient help to people who have suicide ideation or have attempted that or have experienced and are bereaving of their closed ones. And Vilnius city um, suicide prevention uh, co- um, coordination of prevention actions. This outline has been signed, and we have the special position we're responsible for that, and this will help enhance the coordination network among Vilnius City municipality officials in charge of suicide prevention and the responsible authorities. This will help ensure high quality services. We have learned and we can share our experience in a safe way. We can discuss and look for solutions and help each other in order to achieve a common objective. And I do hope that the mental health specialists who have gathered here and others at this conference will find this conference very relevant and useful. We will share our best practice and experience, and we will outline our objectives and plans about how we can improve in this area. As I have said, a huge number of participants motivates that this topic could be relevant for all of us, and we are not indifferent to this topic. With our joint action, we would like to aspire for the enhancement of this area. And I would like to wish you to discuss well and have a nice conference. Thank you, Edita. Many things can be done in the area of suicide prevention at the local authority level. However, without the help and coordination of the Ministry of Health, it is not possible to coordinate suicide prevention. It was a year ago, I remember it very clearly, that we were um, broadcasting the 5th conference, and at that time we were speaking with Mr. Arūnas Dulkys, who at that time was only candidate to the Minister of Health position. Today we would like to invite the member of his team who is an expert in mental health issues, and Simona Bielunia will speak to us. She is at the moment advisor of the Minister of Health. Good morning. Good morning, all participants of this conference, moderators and speakers. I am delighted to say that, first of all, the topic of suicide prevention and intervention is very painful, but at the same time, it has recently been experiencing the increase, the uplifting in this area, because we understand that all people working in the different sectors have to join efforts, and this may be effective. And we came to realize our roles even better, and we have realized how we can enhance each other to achieve the best possible result. And I would like to thank those who have initiated and are organizing this conference. First of all, for making such meetings a tradition. Every year we are speaking about suicide prevention, intervention, and postvention. Sometimes these topics are not comfortable, they are painful. Sometimes they require publicity so that we understand that not only Lithuania but also other countries encounter that. Because the topic itself is emotionally difficult, but very often, it is the reason for people getting burnt out. And we need a community working in this area who care about that. And I am delighted and I would like to thank everyone who has and finds the time to make sure that such conferences like that happen, and they are very rich in their contents. And this creates very different sectors at the same time. And every conference is a huge delight for everyone because we meet at the level of education, at the level of at the social level, at NGOs, and university people meet together. And I would like to wish you to ensure that this initiative not only continues but also grows. And I wouldn't like to emphasize the painful statistics either. Um, I will not refer to that painful statistics, especially the one that we used to have previously. Of course, we have to do a lot in order to improve the situation. And on the other hand, when we speak about suicide, every life lost is very painful, and the statistics and figures don't help us. The topic of suicide is one of the biggest societal challenges for us, and we shouldn't be whispering or speaking about that behind the scenes. We have to speak out loud. We know that the public, the society is very important in this area, and knowing how the understanding of every individual can help and to what extent they can contribute is very important. The fact that the specialists, when having met at the conference, have the possibility to exchange their opinions and enhance each other in all respects, not only in terms of competences but also emotionally, is something we all need. Concluding, I would like to thank you all because this conference every year brings up different suicide related aspects in terms of content. And at the moment, the speakers we will hear will deliver a message being discussed upon worldwide. Suicide prevention issues are not only related to health. This is a necessity politically and in social terms. We are speaking about welfare and about the fact that people should feel should not only feel well, but they should experience even lesser consequences. Wherever we speak about mental health, suicidal behavior, and different groups, the most vulnerable groups, which we have recognized and recognized before the pandemic, they have become even more conspicuous. And this is the topic being discussed upon in various formats. And I am delighted that today we will hear about young people because this topic has become much more relevant than ever, as Paulus has said. When speaking about suicide, we often speak about suicidal behavior among young people. And this topic requires a different discussion, a separate discussion, and continuity. It is related to what the state should do so that the crises that young people experience are taken into account, and so that we have the help in our system that responds to their needs. The topic of older people has been emphasized for a number of years, and we know that in Lithuania uh, there are suicide cases among elderly people for a number of Yes, we have been speaking that the challenges of among the elderly are completely different, and we have to understand them and respond to them. And we have to integrate our systems into our system. We have to have the knowledge that would help the elderly, which is extremely important. Now, regarding the topics of LGBT plus, and we are speaking about those issues more and more often. And scientific research has proven that there are certain groups in the society that are exposed to higher risks. We cannot ignore them. And I believe that this year we have made a breakthrough, and we have started speaking loud and clear about uh, the topics of this vulnerable group in terms of suicide. And I am delighted that today you will be speaking not only about what science says and what we know from our practical experience, but also we will hear live experiences, experiences lived. I believe that assistance becomes most efficient when we get to know the societal groups that we want, which we want to help. And it's important to hear what their expectations and needs are in order to provide that service. I would like to wish you that the day that has brought together different sectors, and that has become a tradition when we gather together and express support to each other, that this day is full of content and meaning, and that the politicians, us politicians, get good insights, and you practitioners get good advice and knowledge. I would like to wish you overall success and all possible best emotions to exchange the views that are useful for all of us. Thank you, Simona, for a very nice welcoming word. Before starting discussing about the messages, I would like to say a few important words. First, I would like to thank very much everyone who have contributed to organizing this conference. First of all, my colleagues from Vilnius University Suicide Research Center, Dr. Jurgita Rinkevičienė, the major part of the program, as always, is thanks to Jurgita, who recommends getting into contact with the best specialists in a particular area. Jurgita, at the moment, is engaged in very meaningful issues. She is on maternity leave, and we would like to wave her, to welcome her virtually if she has the possibility. And it's thanks to her contribution that we have this program. I would like to thank Dr. Said who, Badash, who is close to me, sitting close to me. You will see him soon. He is one of the conference organizers, and we will be moderating this event. Thank you, Jokubas Gužas, for he's a doctoral student at our center who has just started studying at the doctoral studies, and he has helped us with the organizational and technical issues like registration and participant certificates. He has contributed a lot to this piece of work. Professor Danutė Gailienė, volunteers Greta Uržaitė, and other members of the center, thank you for your help and support. I would like to immensely thank Antanas Guznikaitis, who is an employee of our university center, the faculty. You cannot see him, but I can, and we will have to make a picture of the immense amount of cables that we have here at this room. in this room. This was necessary to ensure that we have the broadcasting from this faculty to convey the atmosphere, and Antanas has agreed to help us. And this requires a lot of work and time. We would like to thank the colleagues from the State Health Center, Vilnius City Municipality, who have helped with organizational issues. We would like to thank also our interpreters, Nomeda Miselytė Lukoševičienė and Monika Matulevičiūtė, who have agreed to interpret the conference with the presentations, which in terms of terminology are quite challenging. And secondly, what I would like to convey to you is that you should use the Slido platform to ask questions. Probably will not be able to answer all the questions. We will try to select the ones that are most relevant and will present them to the speakers. At least we will think that these are the most relevant questions. And now I see one question about the number of suicides and how it is changing in the context of the pandemic. We talked about that to some extent last year. And I see that I have a couple of minutes before the first presentation. So the good message is that the number of suicides is decreasing, and the trend that we had before the pandemic and during the last 2 decades, we have witnessed the decrease of suicide numbers during the economic um, crisis and in the wake and after the suicide by our famous person Vytautas Šapranauskas, we saw some increase, but in general, there is a decrease. Last summer, during the pandemic, there was some slight increase, but now we still witness the decreasing numbers at the same pace as we saw before the pandemic. And I would like to thank Nicholas Majauskas, our old friend and supporter of Suicide Prevention Center, because it's thanks to him that we received the most recent suicide data from the Center of Registers. And regarding the mental health status, together with the Ministry of Health, we have made surveys among the population, and we have surveyed young people. I don't know what it will be like in the future. Maybe there will be some deterioration of the figures because mental health, as far as we know, is deteriorating to some extent, but we hope that it will not be transformed into the numbers of suicide, and we will hear some presentations about the figures, about statistics. And the last thing, we consciously have chosen to have this conference live so that it happens in real time, so that we do not have the pre-recorded presentations, but we get together real live from various countries of the world in Lithuania, so that we have the atmosphere of living together, so that we feel that we are together at the same time here and now. But of course, it also has certain risks. We do not know what the connection, internet connection or electricity supply is going to be like, but we do hope that it will happen smoothly. So I see that we can now move to the first presentation, and now I will switch on to English so that I present our first speaker.
Presentations.
Pradėsime.
With a great pleasure, I want to introduce the first presenter, Dr. Martin Plodler.
Pirmąjį mūsų kalbėtoją,
Excuse me,
daktarą
Martin.
Martiną
It's very hard to
Plodler.
pronounce correctly for
Atsiprašau,
me
Martinai,
your
man
last
labai
name, but
sunku
I hope I didn't do
teisingai
too badly.
ištarti pavardę. Tikiuosi,
Martin
kad to nepadariau labai blogai.
works in the Department of Crisis Intervention and
Martinas
Suicide
dirba
Prevention, Department
psichosveikatos
of Clinical Psychology
centre,
at
krizių
Christian
intervencijos ir
Doppler Clinic
savižudybių
at
prevencijos
Paracelsus
katedroje,
Medical
klinikinės psichologijos katedroje,
University in
Paracelsus
Austria.
medicinos
Martin
universitete.
is a clinical psychologist and psychotherapist.
Jis taip pat yra
As far as
klinikinis
I know, he
psichologas ir
loves to do
psichoterapeutas.
not only research, but
Jisai ne tik tai
loves
tyrimais
to
užsiima,
cycle,
jisai taip pat
to ride on his bicycle a
užsiima,
lot.
jisai mėgsta taip pat
imagine.
ir važiuoti dviračius
So
ir
Martin
įvairiausių
will
kitų
present
turi
data about
įdomių
suicide risk in LGBT
pomėgių.
plus people.